Next strategy here, embed farms. This is something where you can get super creative. I've got a couple of different ways that you can use it, and then you can get very creative with it along the way. But at its core, an embed farm is just a simple HTML page that it holds iframe embeds of other pages. In this case, we're talking about press release pickups. You're going to put this on some sort of cloud hosting with a generic domain like S3 or something like that. You do not want to use any form of custom domain for these types of things. Always use whatever the public cloud gives you by default. So like for your S3 bucket or whatever Azure or any of these other cloud hosts use that. And you can really use any cloud hosting domain. So DigitalOcean or whatever, any of these guys will work with it. Then you'd use this as a stack link target or as a secondary embed. This works especially well for a secondary embed. And then you can also tier them. So at its core, you take this HTML page, and just like how we did with Google Sheets before, we dropped every single link into the sheet. Here we're just going to iframe every single pickup, and so you're going to take the export of out of the press release page. You're going to drop all of them into the iframe, and then you're going to have one page that embeds every single press release pickup. And if we remember, one of the reasons why we use iframes is because it does not pass link penalty, and it's a very clean embed model, or it's a clean linking model. And so we definitely love to use these as much as we can. What I like to do is kind of very similar to to what we talked about before with replicating the organization on a Google Sheets. We're going to do that with an embed farm. So you're going to have an embed farm that represents the organization, and then every single release that you issue has its own embed page, and you're going to embed that page into the embed farm. Pretty straightforward. Call it a farm of farms if you want, a tiered farm, whatever. But this is very, very effective. And again, you're going to build backlinks to this page, and everything's just going to flow all the way through. Like I said, you can get super creative here with different variations of that. You can add other relevant embeds besides just the pickups. So you can use YouTube videos, service pages, socials, stuff like that. And since we're building on generic hosting, you can totally hammer these with backlinks. But we only want to use iframes on these pages if we're going to hammer them with backlinks. If we are going to do something else, like having regular links on the page or something like that, we don't necessarily want to hammer it with kind of generic backlinks. What we want to do is embed that page yet again into a farm page and hit that page with the backlinks. So we're filtering out any of that penalty. We do, of course, lose a little bit of link equity, quote unquote, but that's just kind of par for the course. And so you just build some extra backlinks. Lots of different core strategies on how to use embed farms like this. Brian and Lee are two folks that do this a lot. Lee especially, although it's very difficult to get into his mastermind, it's also worth the money. And Semantic Mastery also teaches some good strategies with that as well. And as with most things, the real good stuff is you're not going to find it out in public.